Welcome to The Backstory, a podcast from the North Dakota News Cooperative that takes an in-depth look at the stories we're reporting for you. I'm Sabrina Halvorson, CEO of the North Dakota News Cooperative. Joining me is Michael Standaert, our lead reporter. All right, Michael, the story we're talking about this week is headlined, Students Think Like a Prairie with Hands-on Art Experience. And this was a really fun article for me to read. And I want to know, was this a fun article for you to write?
Yeah, it was very fun to write. I wish I could have gone out with them. I couldn't make it up to the event itself at that time, but speaking with the artist, Austin Camille, was great. She was able to share what they were going to be doing, and then speaking with them afterwards about kind of what went on during the program was great to hear about, and it seemed like the kids got a lot out of it.
Yeah. So the reason this was such an interesting article for me to read is because just the prairie itself, I think that there's, a lot of people don't realize how special the prairies are in North Dakota. And I did a little bit of research just today before our conversation. What I found out is that 80% of many native grasslands around the US and North America have been lost or drastically altered. So there's a lot of reasons for this, but a big part of it is being used for agriculture. Another is being used for, just urban development. So, because we have so much more population, we need space for people and we need space to grow our food. So I'm not saying it's a terrible thing, but it is something that's happening. So this type of program was really designed to help students learn about the prairie around them. Tell me more about the program and what you learned while you were writing the story.
Yeah, so this program, Thinking Like a Prairie, involved high schoolers from North Valley Career and Technology Center, and they were able to, it was broken up into a few parts. So they had one day where they went to this bison ranch near Grafton to immerse themselves in the prairie of North Dakota, to look at the grasses, to touch and feel the grasses, collect soil that they would use for making different pigments for painting and things like that. And then they had a couple days of workshops afterwards where they used the materials that they gathered on the prairie to make art. They had some paper that was made. They made some clay plates that they will use later in this prairie potluck in the spring, when the artist Austin Camille will come back and then have this kind of community event with these students. They'll show their art, and they'll have a speaker speak about soil conservation and prairie ecology. Yeah, no, I thought this was an innovative project, and I thought would be good to highlight what some of the people are doing around the state, particularly the North Dakota Natural Resources Trust, who helped fund this project. They do quite a few interesting and innovative projects such as this, and also work with Josh Anderson of the Walsh County Conservation District. He has a podcast that was funded by them, I mentioned in the story. So they're doing a lot of interesting things that do try to raise awareness about the prairies that we still do have here, and getting the kids out to actually experience it, and then speaking with the kids afterwards. I think they really appreciated that they were out there and got a real tactile feel of what was in the prairie. When you drive by a prairie at 80 miles an hour, you're not going to really see it or experience much. But if you get out, you're out there with the birds chirping and the grass swaying and things like that, smelling it, feeling it, hearing it, you can really get a better experience of it.
You got to talk with some of the students involved in this program. What kind of excitement did they show and what did they tell you about it?
Yeah, they were all very excited about the experience. And I think, just like I said before, being immersed in the prairie and also kind of looking at it in different ways. So like looking at the materials and, okay, how this soil that's been made by plants and dying and recycling over years, how that soil can be used as a pigment for a paint, experiencing some of the different flowers and grasses, and knowing the names of them, I think, is something that they were quite interested in. And you don't really get that unless you have a program like this or have somebody walk you through and say, this is Prairie, I can't remember the name of the plants, but this is this or this is that. It's hard to tell. Nobody's really teaching kids that on a regular basis. So I think they appreciated the fact that they were able to get out and really experience it and learn from doing something.
How long has this program been around?
This Thinking Like a Prairie this is the first time they've done it. So they were able to get a grant from the North Dakota Natural Resources Trust to bring in the artist Austin Camille to do this. And I think they hope to do similar projects around the state or possibly again there in Walsh County at some point in the future. And I spoke with them as well, and I think they welcome ideas for different projects like this. If people want to come to them and bring them innovative ideas, they're very open to that.
Yeah. So kind of switching to a broader aspect just of reporting in general, when we look at stories like this, or let me start from a different point, actually, we cover a lot of different things at the North Dakota News Cooperative, and you have covered a lot of different topics that are very important around the state. Sometimes they're very hard hitting, sometimes they're softer like this, more of a feature story about what's going on. When you're reporting something like this, and when we're carrying this out on North Dakota News Cooperative, what's the importance to the state to hear about these types of feature stories?
Yeah, I think it's good to get a variety of perspectives and news. What is news? It can be pretty much anything. So this program was in a particular area and just involved a couple classes of students, but you're highlighting the work of the North Dakota Natural Resources Trust, which does a lot of work across the state. People don't really hear about what they do very often unless they're involved in those conservation programs themselves. They also work with a lot of other groups, Ducks Unlimited and some of these other groups on programs as well. And so a lot of times they're in the background. People don't really hear that, oh, this was funded by them or this was helped, whatever was created was helped through their funding. So I think highlighting what they're doing is worthwhile as well. And it's always good to get more kind of stories with youth. It's sometimes hard to find those stories or figure out how to do that. And then through a story like this, you're able to do that and get some youth voices in the story as well.
When you are interviewing kids, again, from just a reporter aspect and to give people another look into what we do as reporters, is it harder to interview a child sometimes rather than an adult?
It can be. I started in sports, covering high school sports. So you're like
Mm.
talking to juniors and seniors and trying to get them to
Yeah.
explain or express themselves. So sometimes that can be a little challenging. You the basic thing is try to get them to talk and give them maybe an open-ended question that they'll start to think about, and then they'll say something and just keep talking with them and see what they say. It's a little bit more challenging than speaking with somebody who's involved in politics or something like that, or PR,
Yeah.
where they have a canned statement ready to go. But if I think when I approach these students, I let the teacher know what I would be asking, what I'd be talking about, so that they would be prepared as well. I just want to get their thoughts and feelings on their experience, what they learned out of it, and their just impressions of being out there and doing what they're doing.
And that article again titled Students Think Like a Prairie with Hands-on Art Experience. You can read that story on our website at newscoopnd.org or in one of our local newspaper partners. For the North Dakota News Cooperative, I'm Sabrina Halvorson. This has been The Backstory.